You all can probably imagine, if you will, what it felt like for me to wake up this morning. Was I excited? Absolutely not. No, I was feeling pretty desolate this morning when I woke up. And that's not because I didn't want to come into the day. It's because I knew that this day was going to feel really hard for me. And I told God that. I said, today, God, it's going to be a hard day. Just help me get through today. And God, in his goodness, never fails. God is to me, like he was to those in need in this morning's gospel passage, and indeed to all of us. This is a very, very strange position for me to be in today, because today is the official day that one door is going to close and another door is going to open. And whenever any of us have stood in that position in life, whatever that door is, we know how that feels. We know how it feels. It's very strange because oftentimes what it feels like is like everything at one time. Doors put us into this sort of place of instinct where we imagine very easily all of the things that brought us to this door and all of the things that might be on the other side of that door. And whether or not that chapter, that beginning and ending is happy or sad or filled with anxiety or filled with hope, whatever it is, it all comes crashing together. So, am I happy today? And am I going to be happy for tomorrow? Very, very much. And am I sad today and sad for what's going to happen tomorrow? Terribly sad. And do I hope for a lot of things for today and for tomorrow? 100%. But am I scared out of my mind for tomorrow? 100%. Because I don't know what's going to happen next. Kinda. I mean, I can say what's going to happen next, but there's just so little that I'm in control of. It's a very doubly odd thing because we all go through these things in life because it's a part of being human, but I happen to go through some of these things in a more public way, so it's not just me going through it. It's like, well, now we all get to go through my chapter in a kind of connected fashion. So where's God in it? What's he do in a moment like this, in times like these for all of us? Enter into today's gospel. Man, what a providential gospel that we have, because it certainly spoke to me. I think it speaks to all of us. One of the things that fascinates me about today's story is if you just observe who is in it, just observe who's in the story and what Jesus is doing for each person in the story. There's a lot of different people that we find in the gospel today. People that might be walking through all kinds of different doors, we'll say, simultaneously, because they're all coming from different experiences and looking for something different. The story begins that Jesus crosses the sea and he meets this multitude of people. And what describes those multitude of people who could be anywhere that they choose to be, but have chosen somehow to be wherever the heck Jesus is? It's like the multitudes of people that live and go to sleep and wake up each day and are looking for something. Clearly, those people are searching. And chances are probably pretty good that they've searched for all kinds of things in life and all kinds of answers for whatever it is that they are desiring most deeply, or whatever it is that's really troubling them, and they haven't found it yet. Because if they had found it, they wouldn't be here in this story. They would be elsewhere with that thing that satisfies them. But so they find themselves fundamentally dissatisfied in their searching. Is there something yet I haven't discovered? Is there something new to be shown to me? Something I haven't learned yet? And maybe they have heard of this guy who is a wonder worker and a man that preaches these things with great authority, and they're just like craning their necks to see, who is this man? And is it really, do I need to see for myself if this is really true? And so you meet people in that chapter of life. But you also meet people in this story who are at a different chapter, who are in a very different, we'll say, doorway. One of them is at a doorway they've been trying to walk through for 12 years, and somehow that door is locked. A woman who is seeking healing and desperately wants this more than anything else. And she has tried key after key after key, and nothing is opening this door, and she's at her wit's end. And on the other side, on the very end of the spectrum, you have this father who is standing before a doorway that he dreads, that he would never have chosen for himself and doesn't want to go through. And this is a door that seems to sort of locking him in place. And he doesn't know what kind of key there is out there that's going to possibly be able to get him through the thing that he's afraid of most. But clearly these two people are different, right? They hold a different place in the story because they're not just searching. They wouldn't be falling before Jesus if they hadn't seen with their own eyes somehow what he's already said and how he has already acted, and they're ready to make an act of faith in this Jesus and to surrender on their knees to him and say, the door that I'm at, do something with it. There's a key that I need, and it's not anywhere else. You have it. And you also see people in this story that have already started to follow Jesus. His own disciples are with him. These men that Jesus has brought to himself, he's revealed himself to them, and now they're walking with him, sleeping with him, eating with him, conversing with him, learning from him, watching him, what he says, how he speaks, what he does. And they're also witnesses to these miracles that are happening today. And what's nuts about the whole thing is that God is doing something to every character in the moment, because he has the key to every single door of all of their lives, no matter what door they're standing at. And they're all standing at different doors at the same time. Imagine that. Imagine trying to solve 150 problems right now simultaneously. But this is God. This is Jesus. And Jesus knows that the key to every single door is the same key. It's the same key. It is the answer to every doorway in every chapter of life. And what is that key? It's the love of God, his Father, revealed. That's the key. Jesus knows that whatever it is, whatever circumstances bring people to Jesus, what they need from him is the love of God revealed. Because the love of God revealed is what's going to sustain them and walk with them in whatever doorway they're facing. Whether that is a doorway that's really happy or really sad. Whether that's a doorway that's really hopeful or filled with anxiety or great frustration and exasperation. Maybe it's a door that people are convinced this is going to stay locked forever. I'm just going to have to deal with this for the rest of my life, and I might as well give up. And we just don't know what to do sometimes because we're that discouraged. But this is the only thing that Jesus came to do. And it's everything that Jesus came to do. More than anything, Jesus came to reveal love, to reveal the love of his Father. Why? Because Jesus knows that the only thing that really has the power to change us, to transform us, to answer all the needs of our life is the revelation of God's love. God's love revealed to you is what changes you. You know, we heard it in that first reading, the book of wisdom. And what does it say? That, well, how did God make all things? God fashioned all things that they might have being, that they might share in his goodness. God did not create a single thing out of a seed of destruction, but out of a seed of undying justice. And we who are his sons and daughters, God made us to be the image of his own nature. He designed us to be imperishable, just like himself. And as we walk this journey of life, God's design for all of the doors of life's journey is the same design. It's the same key. It's the master key. It is the love of his Father revealed to us, because that love, the love of God, is what returns us to be the perfect reflection of the image of God's nature. That is the journey of life. The day-by-day transformation into the likeness of God. And how that happens in life is when you and I have eyes to see and ears to hear the love of God revealed to us. Jesus did this every single moment to every single person in an unfailing way. He never missed a beat, not even a single time. There wasn't a single thing that Jesus could ever have done better, ever in his life. He was perfect in this way. And he acted perfectly in people's terrible doorways and in people's joyful doorways. But because he showed himself faithful, if you and I notice that from God over and over and over, and we make a decision to observe that in our daily life, that continued revelation of God's outpouring love for us empowers us. It does. It gives us a capacity to do a thing on our part, which is to step forward into it, to step forward into the love of God that's being revealed to us. And when we step forward into and surrender into the love of God being revealed to us, that step is called faith. Faith is what happens when you and I surrender to the love of God revealed to us, unfailingly revealed to us every day of our lives. Why does Jesus want you to have faith? Because faith changes you. Faith transforms you to become the person that God has created you to be and created me to be, the perfect reflection of his image, the perfect receptacle of his divine life in me, so that I can be imperishable like I was supposed to be, so that I could be perfect in him like I was supposed to be. And when you and I make that decision to surrender to God, and we not only make that decision once, but we make that decision over and over and over again in an unfailing manner, that faith changes us into something called a disciple. And Jesus wants all of us to be a disciple of him. Why? Because Jesus knows that discipleship changes us. How? It changes us more and more into the perfect reflection of God who has made us from all of his goodness. And if we take that decision to be a disciple of Jesus and continue to walk with him faithfully day by day by day, he who will never fail us at the end of our lives, guess where we're going to end up? At the door of heaven. And at the door of heaven, there is a single test. There's only one criteria. We get to the door of heaven, and this is the test. God looks at you, and you look at God, and God is going to ask you, tell me what you look like. What do you look like? Do you look like my reflection or not? Do we look like the reflection of God or not? And if we do, that door of heaven is going to be unlocked for us, and we get to be with God and with all the people that we love forever and ever and ever. And there's going to be no more terrible doors to ever go through, no more suffering ever to experience, no more wondering ever to have to know what's on the other side of things. It's all going to be gravy forever. And so this gospel passage is, it's very, very timely at every day that we wake up, because every day that we wake up, all of us get a free chance to make a decision about what it's going to be like. What am I going to do? What am I going to choose to see? What am I going to choose to hear? And if I have eyes to see, and if I have ears to hear, as they were meant to see and meant to hear, inevitably what I am going to find out is that God's love is being poured out for me. And if I see that over and over and over, I'm going to know God is faithful. And I can trust somebody who I know is unfailingly faithful. And if I trust myself to that unfailing faithfulness day in and day out, I'm going to be just like every single person in this crowd. I walked into Sunday, and I'm going to walk tomorrow into Monday feeling a lot like the crowd. There's a part of me that's like, I don't know what the heck's happening out in the world. There's a lot that has been pounded at me and a lot of answers that have been given to me, and somehow I get to the end of those answers and I'm like, but there's got to be something else. And a part of me feels like I'm that woman or that man who's at the threshold of a very significant doorway. And part of me really wants to walk through that doorway, and part of me wants to not even touch it and walk the other direction. And in this moment that I've seen Jesus and heard Jesus, what he says and what he does, and I feel like I can kneel down before him and say, you have this one. Do something with it. I need you to do something because I don't have a key for it. And part of me feels like the apostles who are the disciples that have been walking with Jesus and seeing what he's been doing and just continually needing to be amazed by what he's capable of so that I can be prepared for what's going to happen down the road that I don't know is coming yet. I feel like I'm a little bit of everything in this story. And so in all of the middle of it, in all of the commotion, in all of the chaos, like the very linchpin, the key to the whole story today is this single line that Jesus gives to the man. No matter what the heck is going on, he just says, stop. Don't be afraid. Just have faith. Don't be afraid, just have faith. Jesus never said, don't be happy, stop being sad. Your anxiousness is wrong. Your hopefulness is unfounded. Jesus says life is life. And you and I are going to go through all of the emotions and all of the instincts and all of the memories. And it's not those things that we're trying to get a hold of because they feel like wild horses sometimes. Jesus says, in the midst of all of that thing, you still are free to make a single choice, and that's whether or not you decide to be afraid. And you're going to have the power to not be afraid if you make a decision to surrender to my love revealed to you. And so that's what I get to take with me today. And that's what I get to take with me tomorrow morning when I pack up my whole life and head out of town up to Flushing to the next chapter. And what a beautiful thing it's going to be for me and for you and for all of us. So this day is just so grateful and filled with joy and hope, but also one that's really hard. And in the midst of all the doorways, including the one that I'm about to walk through, I don't have to be afraid. I just need to have faith.